on how to grow your Twitter following, and we have expert Larry Bodine on the line, who's going to give us a sneak peek into how he grew his Twitter following from 0 to 1,000 followers in just 10 days, and also some tools, tips, and tricks on how to get new clients for your business. So here we start. We have the first slide here of our panelists. And just to introduce Larry again, Larry is the Senior Legal Marketing Strategist for LawLytics Legal Marketing Suite in Tucson, Arizona. He is a former New York Daily News journalist, former editor of the American Bar Association Journal, ABA Edge Award recipient, and frequent CLE speaker. Larry has also been a recognized authority in legal marketing for almost 2 decades now, and I will include his contact information at the end. His email address is larrybodinenow@gmail.com. So, without further ado, Larry, you are going to take it away and give us the explanation of the agenda for today, please.
All right, so here are the high points of what we're going to cover today. And by the way, all of these are legitimate white hat tactics. I don't believe in doing any black hat tactics. So we're going to lay the groundwork and explain the benefits of social media and how you can generate more business with social media. And you'll see that we focus on Twitter, and we'll explain why that is. And then I'm going to show you the actual methods I used to create a new account on Twitter, and I got over 1,000 followers in 10 days. And a lot of it is just following the 3 R's, the golden rules of Twitter. And it's a wonderful thing. You can make connections and build relationships on Twitter. And in fact, David, you and I met on Twitter just to demonstrate how well this all works.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, you're going to hear a lot of practical tools on how you can grow and engage your audience. So have your pens ready to take notes.
Awesome. And the first thing we're going to do before we get started is run a quick poll asking everyone, do you currently use Twitter for your business, either to market your business, to find new leads, to keep in touch with your customers? So there's 3 answers. Yes, you use it for business. No, you do not. Or yes, you use it, but only for personal use. So it looks like so far about 45% of you have said yes, you use it for business. 40% said no, which is a pretty good number, meaning that you're going to be able to take these tools and apply them at the end of the call. And about 20% only use it for personal use. All right, so let's close that poll. And all right, Larry, start us off. Give me a brief explanation of some of the benefits of using social media.
Oh my God, David, there are so many benefits for businesses and law firms to use social media, but just to hit on a few of them, it's according to research by social media marketers worldwide, 43% found that it increased sales. We're talking about new clients, new paying clients. It improved search rankings for 58% of the people surveyed. It generated qualified leads for 61%, and it increased traffic and newsletter subscribers for 75%. So it's really an excellent way to grow a base of raving fans.
Yes, and just to add on that as well, a lot of people, maybe even on this call, found us through Twitter. So PracticePanther, we do use Twitter to generate qualified leads. And we also announce product promotions, new features, and more. So you can definitely use it on your business to find new customers, to let them know what you're offering or any promotions you're offering. All right, so now let's get into why use Twitter. So explain, Larry, why is Twitter the best medium for attorneys?
Well, you know, there's a lot of social media out there, and I have to say that I like Twitter the best simply because there's so much sharing, there's commenting, and there's actual back and forth engagement. On top of that, there are like so many tools out there that and we're going to show you a few of them, where you can measure your results. You can meet people. I've met lots of people on Twitter, and all kinds of ways to get the most out of Twitter. And you know, what I like about Twitter is it's more of a real-time interaction. I mean, it's a chance to have a conversation. Twitter puts the social in social media.
Right, and I definitely agree. You know, a lot of customers reach out to us, or we reach out to our customers, and you can have a direct conversation with them in real time. It's much less informal than calling or emailing or anything like that. So definitely a great way to use it to have conversations with your customers. And there are some big ones, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, but I know that, Larry, you're a big fan on Twitter compared to the other ones, so explain why.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm on all of these different social media, but basically Facebook has degraded into a pay-for-play site. It's actually a giant advertising database. And if you do an update and send it and you hope that your friends see it, well, actually only a tiny fraction of them are going to see it, and you have to spend money to really get your update or your share seen by anybody. LinkedIn, you know, LinkedIn is the place where, you know, attorneys go to find referrals. But I got to tell you, David, I moderate several groups, several attorney groups, several marketing groups, and it's like a big, quiet room. I spend,
Yeah.
you know, most of my time as a moderator, you know, deleting spam and self-promotional stuff, and
Yep.
you know, every now and then I'll plot in and, you know, make some comments, but nobody else seems to do it. So it's kind of a place for to read press releases and one-way announcements and spam.
Yeah, a lot of self-promotion on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you know, and so Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and you know, I'm not optimistic. You know, you have to ask yourself. So was Windows 10 a huge improvement over Windows 7? I don't think so. You know, and I don't think they're going to do much with LinkedIn either. And then finally, there's Google+, which actually surprises many people that it's still around.
Yeah.
But it's actually 5 years old as of last June, and it's kind of the social media that got left behind. You know, it's a good place to post occasionally because Google promotes its own stuff, and you know, it'll turn up in a Google search. But you know, there's not a lot of lively back and forth like you see on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really uses Google Plus to find or market new customers. I mean, everyone has a page on there, but at least for us, we don't use it. We don't see too many attorneys using it either. So yeah, interesting. So let's see, the biggest slide of all that I'm very excited about. How did you actually get 1,000 real followers in 10 days?
Well, let me set this up for you. Attorney John Fisher and I run a mastermind group twice a year, and I thought we should have our own handle. So I started one called Mastermind Experience, abbreviated Experience. And you know, I thought there's really no point in having a Twitter account unless a lot of people follow it. So I devoted myself for, you know, the first 10 days to making sure that I built up followers, relevant followers, and in this case I was looking for attorneys who were interested in law practice management and marketing. And you know, I got to say, it worked great. We're now over 2,000 followers. We're getting good engagement with attorneys, you know, who are our target followers. And sort of, you know, the key things that I did was I posted at different times of day. You know, people read first thing in the morning, they read right after lunch, they read in the evening. Sometimes people also read on the weekends. So I didn't just post once, I would strategically post at different times. And then here's the key thing. I didn't do any sales or self-promo. I was tweeting out articles of interest, you know, practical material, things that attorneys could put into their practice. And, you know, this is the response I got. People, you know, it was like, oh, wow, somebody that's not, you know, aggressively selling online. People responded. We got all the followers like right away.
Wow, yeah, it looks like you grew your account pretty quickly in the first 7 days, almost to 1,000. How many tweets were you putting up in the first week to get that many followers?
I was tweeting throughout the day. You know, I get up early, so I do something, oh, you know, that would be like 7 a.m. Eastern time, and then 10 a.m. Eastern. Another good time is 1 p.m. Eastern, and then I would post during the dinner hour. And each post would be different. You know, I wouldn't repeat the same post.
Right.
So, you know, I was, you know, I was being a gardener. I wanted to grow something, so I paid a lot of attention to this at the beginning.
Wow, interesting. All right, so basically, to summarize, you were posting at all different times of the day, also for a different time zone. You were posting often, You were not posting just self-promotional things, but you were mostly giving away good, valuable, free content, at least for the first few weeks.
Yes. Well, and I continue to do so. I try to avoid spam posts.
Of course. Okay. All right. So let's see some of the tools that you use. So before getting into that, give us the explanation behind the golden rule.
Well, the golden rule is basically treat other people as you would like them to treat you. You know, it's the kind of thing that we all learned in kindergarten, and it happens to work really well on Twitter. So I got to say, so one of the things is if somebody retweets you or mentions you, or lists you as you know, somebody who you should follow on Friday follow days, respond to them. Thank them and by name, and just say thank you so much for the RT. You know, make it personal. People respond to that kind of thing. They can tell the difference between, you know, a message from a robot and a message from me. And point number two is reciprocate. You know, once again, you know, show your gratitude using the Twitter handle. For people who retweet you, who like you, who mention you. People love to see their Twitter handle mentioned in somebody else's post. It's just, it just gives people that nice little endorphin buzz. And, you know, it doesn't cost anything to do it. And then the other thing is, I pay a lot of attention to people who retweet my posts, and I keep track of them. And when I get a notice that, hey, somebody retweeted something that I shared on Twitter, I immediately go to their Twitter page, scan all of their recent posts, and find something that I can, in turn, retweet, so that everybody knows that, hey, if you retweet me, I'm going to return the favor. And people like that.
Interesting. So basically, if you're in touch with someone and they're retweeting you, return the favor, thank them. Also, every time you do something like that, you favorite their post, you retweet about them, you thank them, they get a notification on their phone, on Twitter.com, and also sometimes by email if they set it up. So the goal, I guess, is to respond to as many people as possible and do it while you have some free time. So I know you and I discussed this yesterday. So when you're just, you know, walking around, you're waiting in line, open up your phone, open up the iPhone app or Android app, and just, you know, respond back and thank people throughout the day, basically.
That's right. You know, pay attention to it. You know, if you're trying to grow a Twitter account, I carry my cell phone wherever I go, and I always check to see what's happening on Twitter, and if there's some way that I can show gratitude to someone else.
Right. Got it. Okay. Good, good. So let's see. Building relationships. So what's the slide? Give us a run through.
Well, so here's an example. I got a message that Kevin Herzl retweeted my tweet on the Mastermind Experience. I had sent something out, so I immediately went into Twitter and returned the favor. I looked for things that would be of my interest, that would be of interest to my audience, that he had put a post up about. And sure enough, he had something that said 3 things about that law school didn't teach you about marketing. And I thought, oh, this is great. My own readership would love to hear that. So I went in and retweeted it, and of course he saw that. So it's a win-win-win. You know, I got some material to retweet. I sent a nice warm fuzzy to Kevin Herzl, and my followers got some information they wouldn't have otherwise seen.
So it's one big circle, basically. He retweeted you, you retweeted him, and now you're good buddies online, and that's how the relationship basically starts.
Right. And let me tell my little quick story just to illustrate that there really is a live, breathing person behind that Twitter handle. So I noticed that a Twitter handle out of northern Michigan was like retweeting my stuff wildly. So, you know, I started sending direct messages, sent emails back and forth, and we completely hit it off. And, you know, we developed this nice online relationship on Twitter, and then the next day, Federal Express comes up to my front door, rings the bell, and I open up the box, and there is a freshly baked cherry pie made with Michigan cherry. Yes, yes.
That's crazy.
Person on Twitter sent me a cherry pie that, made with Michigan cherries, and it was just like, I love this. This is great,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think also now direct messages are a lot longer than they used to be. So before, it was 140 characters, but as of last August, it actually got changed to 10,000 characters. So now you can have a much more in-depth, longer conversation with someone on Twitter these days.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because I know Twitter's been working to find a way to break the 145 character limit, and
Yep.
I think they've done it with direct messages.
Yep, I agree. So let's see. We're going to take another quick poll. Have you ever received a client from Twitter? So there are 3 answers to this poll. Yes, you received a client. No, you never have. Or yes, you did, but it fell through. The client never actually signed up or paid you or retain your services. So it looks like a majority of people are saying no. 92% have not received any clients from Twitter. 4% have received, and 4% have also received, but it fell through at the end. So thank you for answering that poll. Let me share that information with you guys. All right, so now I've got to the good stuff. So the first 3 tools to help you grow your followers. So Larry, give us some background on the first one, Twitter Counter.
All right, Twitter Counter, and you may want to advance the slide, is a free online tool at twittercounter.com that will present you a chart of all your Twitter followers, and you can see how your account has either declined or grown, for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, and for paid accounts, you can go back 6 months. And, the idea here behind Twitter Counter, and Crowdfire, and Tweepy is that this allows you to follow people who are interested in your updates. So with Twitter Counter, Twitter Counter will start with first. They have this wonderful little function, in addition to the nice chart and accounts that you get, that is called let's see here.
My retweets.
My retweets. Thank you very much.
Yep.
My eyes are. So you can see here, by going into Twitter Counter, I immediately discover that this handle, CIA Legal Experts, they're a big fan. They've retweeted me 3 times.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this is someone I want to pay attention to because whatever's going on, CIA, so I should get to know CIA Legal Experts. I should visit their Twitter page. But mainly what I want to do is, because he's retweeting my stuff to his followers, I want to see if I can't get his followers to follow me. And that's where the next tool comes in. So now we know, right. So now most people know Crowdfire as a place where you can weed out people who are not following you. And of course that's a useful function, but they have a better function that's called copy followers. And you start by typing in the @name of the people who retweet you the most. So I'll put in CIA Legal Experts, and using the copy follower function, it will display a list of all of the people that follow that handle, and I can follow them. And the reason that I do this is that these people will see that I follow them, and I'm hoping that they'll reciprocate in kind and follow me back. I know this happens to work because my account went from 0 to over 1,000 in 10 days.
Interesting.
Yeah, people pay attention to who follows them.
So you can use Crowdfire for 2 things. Number 1, you can unfollow all the users that never followed you back, that are probably maybe not interested. And more importantly, you can build a following by copying someone else's followers and following their followers. So if you know that there's another Twitter account that has 10,000 followers and they have a lot of the similar people than you, you can copy their followers and follow their followers, which in turn will hopefully follow you back, and that's how you grow it as well.
That's right, and this is a perfectly legitimate and logical step to take. I'm looking for people who have an interest in the material that I'm posting on my Twitter handle. And what better way to find it than by the people who are following someone else who's retweeting me. Odds are really good they're going to like my stuff.
So let me ask you a question, Larry. If someone follows you, do you think it's good practice to automatically follow them back?
It depends. You know, I'll take a look. Twitter has, I think, disabled the tools that allow you to auto-follow because it was used by a lot of spammers to create, monster accounts that had a lot of followers and no legitimate real interest. So that's something that you have to do manually, and that's where a tool that we're going to discuss in a couple of minutes called Community is very helpful. But, you know, here's the thing. The idea is you want to be like Guy Kawasaki. Guy Kawasaki has bazillions of followers, and it's incredibly impressive. However, you notice that he's very picky about who he follows. He maybe only follows a handful of people. So that's kind of the image that you're looking to project, that lots of people follow you, but you're really not following a lot of other people, and i.e. giving out derivative information.
So you want to have a good ratio. You don't want to be following 10,000 people and only have 1,000 following you back. It looks like you're just spam mass following people.
Right, exactly. And it also looks like nobody's interested in what you have to say.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, let's see what we got next. I believe it is Tweepy. All right, so talk to us about Tweepy.
Okay, Tweepy is a really cool little tool, and it builds on the idea that you want to follow the people of those who retweet you. So going back to my example again of CIA legal experts, I know this guy is retweeting my stuff like a lot, and or an even better example would be at PracticePanther. I mean, I really admire your stuff, David. I retweet it all the time, and, you know, and lo and behold, you retweet me back. You know, it doesn't get better than that. So I can go into Tweepy. I think, like, if you have just one account, it's free. You can add up a whole bunch more, and it's like $4. I mean, it's totally worth it. So here's what you do. So you can filter the people that you want to follow. So I want to look up the followers of PracticePanther. However, I'm looking for attorneys. So I want to look in the bio and see if it contains the word law. And then down below, you know, you'll here are the results that the search created, and sure enough, there's Schulman Law Firm, there's Kevin Herzl, the guy who retweeted me, and it tells you a lot of other interesting things too, like how many followers they have. So Kevin Herzl, boy, he's a good guy to know. He has 2,400 followers. But check this lawyer, I don't know, they're from Australia, 12 followers, never tweeted. Probably don't want to, you know, waste a follow on following that person.
Right.
And the nice thing about this is it's a one-at-a-time thing. You get the key stats, and then you can decide whom you want to follow.
So basically, this is like an advanced Twitter search on steroids. You can find all the people on Twitter that have certain keywords in their bio or what they tweeted about, and then you could follow them. Or you could even drill down some more and use the filters to show only people that are active on Twitter and that last tweeted in the last week or 30 days, or people that have profile images, or people that at least follow at least 50 people back. So you can really drill down and find really highly targeted, active Twitter users to follow with the hopes that they will follow you back or see what you offer and maybe become a customer of yours. That's the goal.
So the way this works for lawyers, David, is that suppose you're an attorney in Virginia and you are looking for cases of people who smoke e-cigarettes and have had an unfortunate thing happen where the battery explodes, and this actually happens. It explodes in people's hands and pockets and in their jaws and causes all sorts of damage. So you can filter this down to seek out people who live in your area. You know, you can geo-target. You can select people who are active on Twitter, so the odds are that you know, this is someone who will be worth following. And it really helps you tune up your following so that it will generate new business.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. So now I think it brings us to the next part, 3 tools to interact with your followers. Those were 3 tools to find new people, follow new people, but these are tools that are going to help us interact with our followers. Do you want to explain this slide before moving on to the next one?
Sure. We're going to talk about a couple things here. Commune.it, which is basically a community manager. So all of your followers are a community, and this allows you to manage it because, you know, you want to grow your important relationships, the relationships that are going to turn into new business for you, and not waste any time on inactive people or people who have very few followers. And then buffers, a great way to time all of your posts so that you can sit down and spend 5 minutes at 7 in the morning and schedule out all your tweets throughout the day. Very handy.
Right. And then round team we're going to cover quickly at the end, I believe.
Okay.
All right. So let's see the first one. Commune.it. Find your high-value Twitter members. So how does this work exactly?
Well, Commune.it analyzes all of your followers, and it separates them into 3 groups. The first is influencers, and these are people who have a big following, you know, or demonstrate they have a lot of influence because they get retweeted all the time. The second are supporters, and these are the people that I love because they retweet my status updates and my content links. And then at the top of the pyramid are the engaged members. These are people who mention, retweet, and engage with me the most. So this is, you know, another tool that's free or almost free, and it lets me focus on my high-value members. And you can set it up so that it will send you an email, and you know, it will. So, for instance, what you see before you here is the web page of commune.it, or community, I just call it. And so here are my influencers from this week. These are the people with big followings. So I want to recognize them on #FollowFriday. And the nice thing about it is it sets it all up automatically for you. This is not a robotic message because you can go in and edit it. But the key thing is it causes you to thank people who make a difference in your Twitter following. So I love this.
Interesting. So you don't have to manually go through all your followers and find who the big ones are. It automatically finds who the biggest ones are in your account automatically, and then sets up a tweet ready for you to send right away that you can pretty much customize for them.
Yeah, yeah, it's very convenient.
I like that. And I think there's one more thing you can do here as well. So this screenshot is very popular because everyone likes to have their name mentioned. Okay, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, just remember that, you know, when you send out, when you thank somebody or you include them in #FollowFriday, you know, fill it up with @ names. Fill it up with all the handles of the people, because number one, they're going to notice it and they're going to appreciate it. And now they're going to take a look at you and go like, oh, well, you know, maybe David Bodine is like a high-value member and I should be paying more attention to him.
Okay, so that's how people do it. I always wondered how people were thanking me all the time, or us every week, so now I see how it's done. And I see at the bottom you can either tweet this message right away or add it to Buffer, which we're going to cover right now. So Buffer is pretty much like a scheduling system where you can schedule tweets, correct?
Yes, that's right. So if you go into analytics.twitter.com for your, or just type in Twitter Analytics in Google,
right,
you will get a display which tells you what time of day most of your posts are read. And there are also lots and lots of articles out there that tell you, you know, when, you know, timing is everything in comedy and theater and also on Twitter. So the nice thing about Buffer is it also analyzes when your tweets are read or retweeted or mentioned, and you can, so the way the box is set up here is, you know, you can type in what you want to share, you can add a picture, you can add a couple of words and a link, and then you can select the time when that tweet goes out so that it matches the time most people read your tweets.
Interesting. Or it could also suggest a good time to send it, or you could just say, Buffer, schedule it for me in the best time you think, right?
Right, right, exactly. Which is a really handy thing that, I mean, all of us get super busy at some point in the day, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't have time for all this detail, so I'm going to let Buffer schedule it.
Got it. And Buffer probably knows the best times because they're linked directly to your Twitter account, so they pull all the analytics from Twitter, which lets them know when's the best day and time to schedule the tweets.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, very cool. All right, so to summarize, basically, the 3 R's you want to, the golden rule, basically, you want to reply back to people and thank them as much as possible for their retweets, likes, and mentions. You also want to retweet others. This shows a lot of people that you're engaging with them. It also gives them notifications on their phone so they see that you're active and talking to them. Use Twitter Counter to see all the stats and see who retweeted you the most in a nice graphical interface. You could also use Crowdfire to follow and unfollow many people at once. Now, one thing I want to include, I believe most of these all have iPhone and Android apps, and all of them are free, and there obviously do have premium paid plans where you can spend more money, but you get more out of the software. Tweepy is really powerful to find new people to follow, and Commune.it helps find and thank high-value members like influencers, supporters, and engaged members. And Buffer schedules tweets with high-quality content. And then last but not least, getting back to it, Twitter Counter can help you also track your results. So I believe that first picture you showed us was one that showed how quickly your account grew. That was from Twitter Counter, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly right. It's, for somebody like me who's kind of like a data maven, I never met data that I didn't like. I love all the analytics that you can get from Twitter. And, they're so widely available in all of these different tools. And you just don't find that in the other social media. So, regardless what you may think about Twitter, I would encourage the attorneys on this phone call not to let Twitter kind of be an afterthought. Frankly, David, I see that a lot where they'll have a really wonderful website and an active blog. And then I look them up on Twitter, and there's just really not a whole lot there. And
or they'll put up 3 tweets 4 years ago and never touch it since, basically.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it is totally worth getting on top of Twitter. If you do want to be the center, if you want to be a thought leader, you want to be the center of, or initiator of a discussion, and you want to get new clients and generate new money, I would take a look at Twitter.
Awesome. I definitely agree. And everyone, this is our contact information. So Larry Bodine is giving you his personal email and his phone number so you can message him or myself with any questions you have. And Larry, give me a little bit of background of what you do and what your business specializes in, how you can help people, how you can help attorneys.
Sure. I'm the Senior Legal Marketing Strategist at a tech startup here in Tucson called LawLytics. And what we are is we create websites and blogs for attorneys in small firms. And what makes us different is that the CEO is an attorney. I'm an attorney. One of the services we provide is we write content for attorneys, and that in turn is run by someone who is an attorney. And I've tried a whole lot of legal platforms ranging from WordPress to other platforms, and you can really tell that this is generic web software. It's not built around the way that lawyers think.
Right.
So, they really do teach you how to think like a lawyer in law school. So our idea was like, well, let's create websites that function the way that lawyers think. And, we've got hundreds of happy clients, and I got to say, for an old dog like me, it's such a treat to walk into a startup and just be around all these really bright, interesting, helpful people.
Yep. So basically, you can help attorneys write content for their blog, build a website for them, help them with social media, and pretty much build a whole marketing plan for them almost.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. So it's the sort of thing that, if your website is really not generating any new business for you, give me a call, and I'd be happy to listen to you. And it's the same thing with social media. I do manage the social media accounts for the National Trial Lawyers, a mass torts educational group, and an attorney. And I would be happy to do that for anyone else who would like to get 1,000 followers in 10 days.
Yeah, and even more important, get customers. So I know you mentioned blogging is obviously a very big thing. We'll say that for another webinar, but yeah, blogging the right way can get you a lot of organic traffic to your site and get you a lot of good customers coming to your site, people you're looking for. So it might just be worth it for anyone listening. Give Larry a phone call or an email and see how he can help. At the end of this, we're going to, yeah, go ahead, Larry. One more thing you want to add?
Oh, I was just going to say that, you hit on a key point, which is that if you're an attorney and you want to get new business, you have to have a blog. You have to have something that you update regularly, because when you go out on Twitter, you're going to have something to tweet about. And what better thing to tweet about than some new insight you've gotten and you post it on your blog, or a new statistic, or a new court opinion that's relevant to your potential clients.
Right.
So Twitter is the turbocharger for your blog.
Yep. And one thing to add as well, if people aren't going to be blogging consistently, the last thing you want to do is have your clients come to your website as an attorney and see the last blog post was in 2013. It just looks like it's outdated. Maybe you're not even practicing anymore. People think of these things. Same thing with Twitter and Facebook. If you're not posting often, at least schedule some posts once a week for the next year, just so people think that you're still around, you're still practicing. Because I can tell you, if people don't see any activity, they might assume you went out of business. So always keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's very true, David. People will search for an attorney online first. And if they see a website that's out of date and dormant and really doesn't have any helpful information, you just missed your chance to sign a new client.
Yep, I definitely agree. And one last thing, after this webinar is over, everyone's going to get a survey by email to rate it 1 to 5. Let us know what you thought, and you could also send us any of your questions. And we're going to open up for some questions now. Larry, you have a few minutes to hang around?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So feel free to go ahead, ask as many questions as you want. And we're also going to send you an email after this webinar with links to all the tools we discussed in today's webinar, and a link for the recorded webinar to watch it as many times as you like. So I am going to cover a few questions I got emailed from Patricia Palmer. She had a few questions I'm gonna fly through real quick. So the first question was that she was hesitant to retweet as she worried about the bad side of social media. So inadvertently retweeting a string. So I guess my advice for her is to not be so hesitant, but retweet appropriate content you think will add value to your clients. Okay? Next question would be, should law firms retweet their clients' tweets? That's a great question. So I definitely think yes, if you think it's helpful for you. So it shows your clients that you follow them on Twitter, you're interested in them, and most importantly, it keeps you top of mind. So the next time they or a friend need any help, they'll think of you, and it's pretty much the same reason why you send email campaigns out every month. Hopefully you're doing that. You want your clients to always think of you, always see you, and if you're retweeting to your clients or messaging your clients on Twitter, it shows that you care about them. You're still involved with them. Next question. Should law firm marketers tweet or retweet about clients because most lawyers will not? So one thing to add, I wouldn't tweet anything negative about clients that you've had, otherwise other clients will see that. Also, I wouldn't tweet or retweet anything. Well, I would actually tweet things where your clients talk about you. So if your client puts something on Twitter saying, I loved working with Larry, he really helped solve my case quickly, for sure, 100% retweet that. You want everyone to see it. On the other side, I would not retweet things that could potentially offend someone. So, for example, politics, religion. Now you're talking about the elections. I wouldn't do anything in that sense. Larry, you agree with me?
Yeah, I do, and always be mindful as well that you can't violate any kind of an attorney-client privilege. You
Yes.
can't tweet about a client's matter. You have to keep, if they sort of say, hey, thanks so much for, I don't know, taking my company public. We're all rolling in money now, or something like that. I wouldn't retweet that. I would
Yeah.
err on the side of being cautious. But I love the point you made, David, which is that if your clients are tweeting, I love this guy, well, go ahead and retweet that.
Exactly. Exactly. The next question she had was, when and how should you create or use hashtags? So hashtags are pretty much a way that allow people to find you on Twitter. So for example, if you're a family law attorney, you might want to use the hashtag family attorney or family law attorney or divorce attorney or divorce lawyer. So get as creative as possible and see what other people are typing or searching for. So basically what happens is if you put up a tweet that's, let's say, self-promotional, if anyone needs a divorce attorney, please contact me, hashtag divorce attorney, hashtag divorce lawyer. If anyone on Twitter searches for that hashtag, they will see your tweets. And they'll see that you're a divorce attorney, and maybe they'll contact you to hire you. So that's a good way to do it. Another thing you could use hashtags for, like today, we're at 2 conferences, 2 trade shows today, and one of them is the Georgia Solo Bar Conference. So they have a hashtag set up. So if anyone tweets with their hashtag, you can see all the tweets and messages and pictures and everything going on about that event. So that's another way you can use it as well. Anything else you want to add to that, Larry? Is that good?
No, I was going to say you touched on live tweeting at an event, which is a practice I highly encourage. Whenever I go to an event, and first thing I'll do is get the organization's hashtag. Like, what is the hashtag they're using to send messages out about the conference? And if I'm sitting there listening to somebody make some really interesting points, I'll just kind of summarize it, include the hashtag, and sort of narrate it online. People love following it live, and people who couldn't be there, like to go in at the end of the day and see what the highlights of the program were.
Yep, I agree, and we definitely tweet live with the hashtags at every event we're at, so it definitely helps. Next question. Why do some tweets come out with oversized fonts while others look normal and smaller fonts? So I believe what you're referring to might be that when you log into Twitter, things that you tweet personally are bigger. The font size is bigger to you. But things that you retweet are actually smaller. Also, one more thing, any ads or sponsored posts that people pay for that you should see might be bigger as well. Larry, do you know any other time where tweets will be bigger in your newsfeed?
No, not unless you, I forget what the steps are, but you can go through and have like an anchor tweet that's the first thing that people see when they go to your handle.
Oh, you highlight a tweet. Right.
Yeah.
Post it in the top. Yeah. I know we got a few questions for this one. Dealing with the 140 character limit when adding links. So yeah, so if you add a super long link, it's going to kill your 140 character limit. But the cool thing about Twitter is that when you put in a link, let's say 100 characters long, it will automatically shorten the link for you to about 10 characters. So what I recommend is putting the link in the tweet first and then seeing how much more space you have to work with and going from there. Another really neat service you could use is a website called bit.ly, and that one gives you custom shortening links. So for example, if any of you are following PracticePanther on Twitter, you might have seen we were promoting the webinar by saying, click here to join the webinar, and it was bit.ly/get-Twitter-clients. So we created our own URL shortener. Larry, anything you want to add on that one?
No, that's a brilliant technique. I use it myself. Whenever I have, I've created one that's just bit.ly/Larry Bodine, and it's a very handy way to sort of pick a current topic and then shorten it with an incredibly easy to remember shortened URL.
And so we have a question from John who asked, it might be helpful to share how the Twitter technology actually works. Why the 140 character limit and how do tweets go viral? So as far as the short character limit, I think they were just trying to, in the beginning, maybe trying to be a little bit different than everything else out there that lets you post unlimited things. Also, I guess it really makes you have to focus really hard on condensing whatever you want to say in as short amount of words as possible. So it's really quick, fast messages about what you're doing or news or events. So it's just like quick information that you can see instead of reading a lot of long stuff. How do tweets go viral? Well, if everyone knew that, they'd probably be doing it. But in my opinion, tweets go viral probably by a few things. Obviously, if you're posting something either crazy or dramatic or very relevant, if a lot of people start liking it or favoriting it, retweeting it, or commenting on it, generally what all the algorithms do is once they see a lot more engagement in the beginning, they'll start boosting that post up on all your other followers' news feeds or the Twitter dashboard. So it keeps going higher and higher. And the more feedback it gets, the more retweets it gets, the higher it will still go. And eventually it just goes viral. At least that's my thought. Larry, anything to add on that?
Yeah, and if you can find some sort of a tweet that includes a picture of a very popular and attractive celebrity, that's going to get a lot more attention. And in fact, some of the most popular tweets are nothing more than a picture and a link. In other words, there's no words at all.
Yep. All right, and then we have another question from Khalid who says, he's a Twitter hater. At this point, I do not see any use for Twitter. It seems to be an annoyance. This is my perception of it. How do you measure people's use of Twitter? Or how do you measure that Twitter is actually attracting clients to attorneys who actively use Twitter? Okay, so I'll answer this from our point of view. We know people come to us from Twitter because you have analytics. You have Google Analytics, and it keeps track of all these things. For attorneys, what I would suggest, if you don't have all this crazy stuff in the background, just ask your customers how they found you, how they heard of you. So the first question should always be, how'd you hear about us? And if they heard about you on Twitter, then you know that they heard about you from Twitter. Or you could even do a special promotion, free consultation for anyone who comes from Twitter. And then they're going to start calling you, hopefully, and you know they came from Twitter. Larry, how do you attract clients using Twitter?
Well, I got to say, there are 310 million people that use Twitter as of the first quarter of 2016, and I don't know, they can't all be wrong. It can't be that terrible if it's got that many followers. The key thing is to sort of think of yourself as the publisher of a newspaper. I started out in the biz years ago as a newspaper reporter, and the top thing on my mind was, who is going to be interested in reading this? Who are my readers, and what do they want? And once I figure that out, I just give it to them by the truckload. And if you do that on Twitter, you get lots of responses and mentions and retweets. And one of the things that you can do, of course, is be premeditated about this. So I would suggest you create on your website or blog a landing page that is just specially designed for people who found you on Twitter. And you welcome them, you put in some information and a call to action, and you take that URL, and every now and then you tweet that out, and then you can see what the traffic is on your landing page.
That's a good idea. And one thing to add to that, make sure that landing page is mobile friendly, because chances are they're going to be coming from their phone.
Yeah, very true, very true. Social media happens on cell phones.
Yeah,
by and large.
So you got to make sure. Yeah, you got to make sure all the pages on your site are mobile friendly for that. Next question comes from Nancy. She wants to know, is Twitter Counter and Crowdfire a separate app or program, or is it built into Twitter? So yeah, so those are two. All the programs we mentioned here actually are all separate programs. You have to sign up for free. Usually you just log in with Twitter and you're good to go. And they all have free versions with premium versions you can pay for. And Betty asked the next question, what about companies? Usually they don't follow people generally. Well, I could say that we're a company and we follow tons of people. We follow tons of lawyers. We follow tons of thought leaders because we also want to know what people are doing. We also want to get involved. We also want to meet new people. So if you're a company, you can definitely follow a lot of people. You don't have to not follow a lot of people, unless you're a company like Red Bull doesn't need to follow anyone. But if you're a company, I definitely recommend following people. Larry, anything you want to add?
No, I would just second everything you said.
Okay, awesome. Next question comes from Ellen. I've never used Twitter before. How do you even begin to get followers? All right, so Larry, I will let you handle this whole question.
All right, well, it's a piece of cake. You just go to twitter.com and sign in, and you set up your profile and you put your picture in and put in a little bit of information about yourself. And the key thing in your profile is you set out what it is that you're talking about. So if you're talking about GM ignition switches, that's one thing. If it's personal injury actions that occur from exploding e-cigarettes, you put that in. You can't just be like, hi, I'm a lawyer, I'm going to be talking about law. Pick something in particular. And the way that you select that is, what is it about your practice that you like to talk about the most? Or if that doesn't help, go to your in-house accountant and ask him, what is it that I do that makes the most money and generates the most business? That's what you should be tweeting about. So once you set it up, then I would just follow the steps that I did. Strategically start following people. Strategically set up. It pays to be active in the very beginning. It's activity that attracts followers.
Yeah.
So set some time aside early in the morning when you're going to set out your 6 tweets, put them in the buffer, and you do that in 5 minutes, and you're done for the day.
Yeah. What a lot of people do also, they use Buffer, Hootsuite. There's many applications, and you can even just sit down for 2 hours one night and schedule 50 tweets for the next week or two, and then use other tools that Larry mentioned in the call to find people to follow, and that's how you can start getting involved with Twitter. Lydia is the next. Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
Oh, I was just going to say that, a lot of times I'm waiting in line behind a bunch of old people at the pharmacy, or, the endless line at the grocery store or something. And that's when I pull out my cell phone, check on Twitter, and look if there isn't something I can post online that my readers would like to hear. So when you have those little moments where you're just kind of stuck in limbo, pull out your cell phone and tweet something.
Yep, exactly. The next question comes from Lydia, who asks, don't you think that automation of appreciation really isn't worth much? So I tend to agree with Lydia, but what Larry's saying is don't automate it. Don't just say thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. Be a little bit, customize your approach. So using that program that he showed you, you can customize the tweet that goes out to your influencers and engaged members and stuff like that. Larry, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and the way that you can demonstrate that it's not from a machine is just like #FollowFriday, and then you list a bunch of handles. And then you put in something like, you rock, ! Or, love you guys, LUV, you guys. Or, put in something, that demonstrates that there's a human being behind the thank you.
Exactly. And keep in mind, they're going to see your tweet, and they're probably going to go back to your Twitter page and see the last 10 tweets you posted. And if they're all thank you, thank you, thank you, they're all the same, they'll know that it's automated. But if they see different ones and variations, they'll know that you took the time to actually personally thank them or communicate with them.
Yep.
The next question comes from Martin, who says, what is the benefits or pitfalls of having someone manage your account? For example, a media consultant. So Larry, you're a media consultant. So what are the benefits or pitfalls of having someone manage their account for them?
Well, I got to say that the downfall is that you got somebody who, I don't know, really doesn't know you and is just spamming out a bunch of junk. Now, for instance, I mentioned I manage the account of an attorney on the East Coast, and before I did that, I spent a lot of time with him on the phone. I met him in person. I wanted to find out, so tell me about your practice. What are the kind of clients that you're looking for? I kind of got a sense that he's, believe it or not, he's a 72-year-old lawyer, wants to get active on Twitter. But so I spent a lot of time with him to sort of, put up age-appropriate comments. I avoid a lot of the slang that teenagers use, and the posts I put up are because I've studied this gentleman. I'm an attorney. I pay a lot of attention to Twitter, and I got to say I've grown this guy's account to about 5,000.
Wow.
But the thing is, we have a trusted relationship, and he lets me know, all right, dial back on that particular topic, refocus on this. So we're in contact all the time, and then I let him know, it's like, hey, somebody in your high school class just sent you a message, so I'm forwarding that to you. So I'm just acting as a facilitator.
Yeah, I can't see too many times where it's going to be negative to have someone managing your account for you. So yeah, I mean, I guess what Larry's saying also is that before anyone is managing your account, they're going to see the kind of tweets you usually post about. They're going to have a meeting with you. You're going to let them know the guidelines you want to post about. And as the posts are starting and you're working together, you guys will refine that relationship to kind of see what posts are going to be coming out in the future. Next question is actually amazing. Larry, you're going to laugh at this one. I'm shocked we didn't even give this information out. The question comes from Don. What are your Twitter handles? We didn't even set our Twitter handles to people. So I am sending that message out to everyone now. Ours is at PracticePanther, and Larry, yours is?
At Larry Bodine.
Exactly, and Bodine is spelled B-O-D-I-N-E. That's funny, we missed that one.
I just saw a question come up. Somebody wants to know if I'm single, and gotta say, sorry guys, sorry ladies. I've been married for a long time, and it's going great.
That's hilarious. I didn't see that one. I got a question here from Laura, who says, how do you feel about Manage Flitter, the app? Isn't there a limit for following per day? Yeah.
Well, Manage Flitter is kind of like Crowdfire. In fact, I used it before I found Crowdfire, and it's a way to delete people that don't follow you back, and a way to sort of selectively find people to follow. I think it's fine. It's kind of old technology, and I think it's been surpassed by all the features in Crowdfire.
Yep, very good. Let's see if I wanted to add anything to that question. Isn't there a limit for following per day? So yes, there is. I think it's either 500 or 1,000. I don't think you can follow more than that per day. Otherwise, Twitter gets the idea of what you're trying to do. Do you know if it's 500 or 1,000, Larry?
I think it's 500.
Yeah. And same for unfollowing.
Yeah, but I mean, and frankly, Twitter should put a cap on that, because that means somebody's just sitting there at a keyboard going click, 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 click.
Exactly.
And, mass following without really spending any time looking at it.
Yep, exactly. Next question comes, I believe, from Nancy. How do you tag a tweet? So I believe what you're referring to is someone posts a tweet and you want to post it again. So that would be retweeting it. So once you see someone that tweets something, there's a button that lets you retweet it, which pretty much is like share on Facebook. It just shares it back to your Twitter feed, and you can even comment on the tweet as well. Correct, Barry?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next question is, what do you think of TrueTwit?
Oh yeah, that's a validation service, which I find is kind of an annoyance. It's sort of like having a chaperone between you and the person who wants to connect with you, and they're going to decide whether or not they're going to allow you to follow them. I've got 24,000 followers, and I haven't run into a problem that I ever needed TrueTwit for.
Okay, interesting. Rebecca asks, what sort of ratio of original content versus retweeted content do you look for on your Twitter feed? Larry?
Well, I try to put up as much original material as possible. So for instance, on the National Trial Lawyers, and I'm also editor of Mass Tort Nexus, we're putting up a couple of articles a day. That said, to amplify and to find other things that I can tweet about, I have set up about 50 Google alerts on specific topics, such as personal injury verdict or Xarelto litigation. And so my inbox is constantly feeding me with possible topics that my audience might be interested in. And, there's nothing wrong with going to a news story that says, there was a $5 million verdict in a case that you might be interested in Philadelphia. So you don't, so long as it's actual news and, it's not spam, but,
right.
you can turn your Twitter feed into kind of like a news line, a news source.
Yep.
So that, people will follow it to find out like what's happening.
Yeah, and just to add on that as well, because we missed one of those slides at the end that we took out, Round Team. There is a website called the Round Team, and what that does, it actually helps you link your Twitter account to news sites or blogs or RSS feeds, and it could automatically post news for you if you wanted to do that. But yeah, I definitely agree with Larry. The more original content, the better. Next question comes from Justin. This is a good one. How do you deal with competing clients on Twitter? Let's say you represent multiple banks. How do you not rub them the wrong way? All right, so I would say if you're representing multiple banks, you definitely don't want to tweet, Bank of America is the best, I love them, you should definitely bank with them, because then your chase won't be happy. So definitely don't talk super good or super bad about anyone like that. Anything else to add, Larry?
I would be posting banking news, regulatory developments, topics that are of interest to all of the clients.
Yep.
Rather than pick out one client. You're getting into dangerous waters there, especially if you have multiple clients in the same industry.
Exactly, I agree. Next question comes from Donna, who asked, how do you know if your new client came from Twitter? Whenever I ask new clients how they found me, all they say is through the internet. I love that answer.
Yeah.
I love that answer. So I'll tell you, Donna, we're an internet company. Everyone found us through the internet, most likely. So when they say through the internet, we ask them another question. Where through the internet? Did you find us on Google, on Facebook, or Twitter? Did you get an email campaign? Did you see us on a website? Where on the internet? Just keep probing them. Just one more question, and they'll give you that answer.
That's really good advice. What I do is I ask them, okay, you found me on the internet. What was the last thing you were looking at before you decided to call me or email me?
I like that. So I guess I'm thinking a little bit about how they found you.
Mm-hmm. And it's really surprising, But I got to say, Twitter is so interactive. I can tell whom I'm having conversations with, and who likes my stuff and who mentions it, because you can see all that. It's a live conversation.
Yep, that's the best thing about it. Next question comes from Evan, who asked, what is a good source to find law-related blog posts and articles for a Twitter account? So, like we were saying with Round Team. Go ahead.
Well, let me show off here a little bit. I highly encourage you to visit the website of the National Trial Lawyers, which I edit. We put up material of interest to plaintiff personal injury firms and the clients that they represent. And I also edit a website about product liability law, and it is called Mass Tort Nexus, N-E-X-U-S. And we're putting up material all the time about these cases where there are, tens of thousands of claimants, like the GM ignition trial or, Xarelto, which causes birth defects. And so take a look at those. I would be most grateful and appreciative if you would tweet out the material that we put up. We put a lot of effort into it, and we always appreciate that.
Awesome. And one more thing to add also, there's a lot of legal blogs out there, a ton. So it really depends, what industry are you in that you're trying to post about? Are you trying to post about things about Max for lawyers? There's a ton of blogs just related to Max for lawyers. Lawyerist is a good blog, but more generic. Above the Law, you have national trial lawyers, attorney at work, mass tort nexus. There's tons. So I'm going to send that answer to everyone right there. But just do a quick Google search, whatever you're looking for, and you'll find tons of stuff available. All right, next question comes from Asta Madan. All right, Asta, is certain type of content better than another? For example, are photos or videos more engaging than a link to a blog post that someone may or may not click on? So I would say 100% yes. I would say whenever you add any content to a tweet, for example, a photo, a video, or now you can add GIFs, which are kind of animated photos that almost look like videos. Those are for sure, at least from our experience, they get a lot more engagement, a lot more retweets, a lot more likes, a lot more everything, as opposed to taking someone off Twitter to another post. What do you think, Larry?
Oh yeah, David, you're absolutely right about that. You know, the internet is a visual medium. People respond to pictures, they respond to videos. So, as I mentioned earlier, if there's something that's really eye-catching, and I have a graphic, either that I created or, that I got from Shutterstock, but something that makes you kind of stop and look, I'll just post the image and a link, and people will, a picture says 1,000 words. People will look at the picture and go like, oh, I know what this is about, and they'll click on the link. And you really don't have to say anything.
Yep, exactly. And just to add to Asta, so just to give you an example of what we did for this webinar. So we wanted people to register for the webinar or view a blog post. So yeah, we put a link to the webinar or to the blog post leaving Twitter, but we also included an image in the blog post, so it gets more views and obviously more likes and favorites. So what you could do, you can write a tweet, you can include an image or a video or a GIF, and then you can also add your link as well. Now, if you include an image and the link, you're going to be pretty short on what you can write, because that probably will take up maybe half or maybe a third of the 140 character limit. So be aware of that as well. All right. Next one comes from Lee, who asked, should you avoid engaging trollers? Trollers are people who post negatively about you and in order to get a negative reaction back. So I've seen this a ton of times. And Lee says it's generally a losing battle in most cases. What do you think, Larry?
If there's a troll, and I've encountered many of them, who is just, talking dirt about you, block them and delete them so that you don't even see it, because these are people who thrive on annoying you, and they're doing everything they can to get a response out of you. So even if you send a response that sets the record straight, now they've got you, and they will enlist their fellow trolls to retweet and call you all kinds of names, code names. Like my favorite one is they'll call you an ass hat. They won't call you a hole, but everybody knows what they're saying by the word ass hat. And it's all designed to be annoying. And these are really sad losers with no lives, and I just don't think they have any reason to live, and certainly I wouldn't waste any time paying attention to them. So, if you get hit by a troll, just block and delete, and go out and spend a nice day out in the sun and enjoy it, and just ignore these trolls.
Yeah, and one more thing to add as well. Sometimes I have seen where a client of an attorney wasn't happy with the verdict of whatever happened in their case, and they went on Twitter and they put up 100 tweets bashing the attorney that didn't help them. So instead of writing back and getting this whole heated argument that everyone now sees because they're acknowledging it, just reach out to that person privately, either with a direct message or just email or call them, and just settle it outside of Twitter so you don't even get yourself into deeper waters than you already are.
Yes, yeah, really good advice.
Next question comes from Nancy. Where does the hashtag get inserted? So Nancy, you can pretty much put hashtags anywhere in your post, in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, and you'll see a lot of people just working them into the text. So if I was writing, join us this week for a webinar with Larry Bodine this Friday, I wouldn't write Larry Bodine. I would probably either put an @ symbol with his name, which is his like username on Twitter, or I would put a hashtag with his name on it, or one of those. So you can build it in to your tweets. You don't have a lot of room, so you can work it in wherever you want. Next question comes from, I got a lot of questions, good, from Evan. If you add a hashtag to your bio, will it allow people to find your account the same way as they would if searching for a hashtag in a tweet? Good question. For example, if a bio contains family law, hashtag family law, will that account be displayed when people search for that hashtag, or does it have to come from a tweet? So Evan, we actually do that as well. We post a hashtag, I think it's case management software, and the answer, from what I believe, is yes. I do believe they will find it. Larry, can you confirm?
Yeah, I would agree. You know, I put in my own bio, you know, hashtag attorney, hashtag journalist, so when people are doing a search on Twitter to follow an attorney or a journalist, they'll find me.
Yep. Okay, very good. Let's see. What else? Well, Nancy asked a question earlier that she asked again. Larry mentioned adding a tag to a tweet. Larry, do you remember that? So I guess we answered the question wrong.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a way to tag a tweet. I know you can retweet it. You can retweet it with a quote. You can click on the little heart sign. Maybe that's what we're driving at. There's a little heart sign, and if you click on it, that's a like. But
yeah, I don't know any other way.
The tagging thing, that's Facebook terminology.
Yeah, or maybe she's referring to tagging another user. So let's say I want to tag Larry in my post. I can write at Larry Bodine, and it will tag him in the post if that's what you're referring to. Let's see. Laura said, thanks for the great seminar. I found it very helpful. Okay, thanks, Laura. Next one comes from Tina. Should a Twitter profile be set up in the law firm's name or the attorney's name? Good question. So I will answer that by saying both. I think the attorney should have their own Twitter account, and the law firm should also have their own Twitter account. But if it's your law firm and you're a solo practitioner, you have a small firm, you could probably just set up a Twitter account in the law firm's name because it's you. But if you are working for another firm, let's say with 10 attorneys, and you might one day branch off and start your own firm, you will probably want to have both set up. Larry?
Yep, I would agree with that. You know, the advantage of putting it in the attorney's name is, well, now people reading it are getting perspectives and information from a person, which I think is much more interesting than getting a tweet from a partnership or a corporation, a business. So I would lean on the individual approach.
Yep. And as a response to a question we answered before, Donna says she does probe them for the answer of where they found her. Unfortunately, they seem to have no idea. So yeah, that could happen. One thing I would suggest, Donna, is there's something called Google Analytics. It's free, and if you have a website, you can go to google.com/analytics and install it on your website very easily. You can watch a 5-minute tutorial video to learn how it works, or have your webmaster set it up for you. But it's very powerful because Google Analytics will tell you how many people came to your website this week or this month or today, and where did they find your website from? Where did they come from to your website? So I could look at our analytics and say, oh, it looks like 15 people or 20% of people this week came from Twitter. So I know how many people came to my site from Twitter. So I can know if my Twitter efforts are actually paying off. And that's probably the only way you could find out, I guess.
Yeah, and it's this has been a problem since time immemorial. The turn of the century department store magnate John Wanamaker said, I know that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted, but I can never figure out which half.
Yes, yeah, it's a great line. Yep. So, I mean, if you do generally feel that Twitter is helping you and you're getting good feedback from it and people writing back, it does help a lot. If you have the time, it does help a lot. Or if you don't have the time, you could get someone else to do it. Maybe your paralegal or secretary on their free time, if they have any. Next question comes from Deborah. What about for private investigators? Any suggestions, I guess, on using Twitter? So I would say if you're a private investigator, you're a PI, you can definitely be putting up really good, valuable content. So if I was looking to hire a PI, maybe you can post really cool content about spy cameras or anything interesting and cool on your Twitter feed that provides good content for people who are looking for private investigators. Same for any other industry. Also, don't forget to use as many hashtags as you can. You know, PI, private investigator needed. You know, so if anyone's searching for a private investigator, they can find you. One more thing to add for a private investigator or for anyone is you can use Twitter search to find people looking for private investigators. Even you can search for people looking for private investigators in your geographic area. So on the top of Twitter, they have a search, and they have a super advanced search, which tells you what keywords are you searching for. You type in private investigator, and what location are you searching for. You type in, you know, Miami, Florida, let's say, and it will show you all the people searching for private investigators in Miami, Florida that have tweeted about it this week. And then you can reach out and contact them directly. Larry?
Yep. No, couldn't add anything more to that. That's great advice.
Awesome. Okay. Evan is saying Nancy may be referring how to tag someone. Right, that's what we said. That's what we think. Okay. Laura answered Nancy also. I think the tagging is meant as pinning the tweet as your top tweet. Ah, interesting. So I think how you do that is there's an arrow on the top right of your tweet, and you can click on that, and there might be a button that says pin to top or highlight. Larry, how do you do that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, you just go into your Google settings, and you can, you know, so you go to Twitter, and there will be a little picture of your face or whatever graphic you're using for your Twitter handle. Click on that, and you can open up settings, and in there you can you'll see the option to pin a tweet.
Okay, awesome. All right, that is all the questions it looks like. But if you have any others, feel free. I'm going to go back to the slide again, and here is our email addresses and phone numbers. Feel free, really, contact any of us anytime. We're always happy to help. And look out for the next webinar. It will be coming soon. And if you have any suggestions on how to improve the webinar or any suggestions of webinar topics you'd like to see, let us know as well. So Larry, once again, I want to thank you so much for all the time that you spent with us today, and hopefully we'll have you back next time.
Oh, yeah, right back at you, David. I really enjoyed this, and it was really fun to go over this, and I want to wish everybody out there who is looking for new business and new clients, happy hunting.
Yes, happy hunting. All right, take care, guys. Thank you once again.
Bye-bye.